Good morning, everybody. It is Amy Bennett with the AM show. I am so glad to be here with you. It is a beautiful day in just in South Carolina. I think that's what they say actually when you call them. It's a beautiful day in South Carolina. So as most of you know, we have weathered Hurricane Florence over the weekend. I am happy to report that here in south of Charlotte, where I am, just over the border we're like 5 minutes from the border, basically, between North and South Carolina. And here in town, we personally have not had any impact from the storm. We did have some flashing come off the garage. So that has come off, so that's going to be like less than $100 of damage. Our yard didn't even flood like it usually does on a really, really bad storm. It just was like a lot of rain. It didn't quit until probably 7 or 8 o'clock last night with some wind gust. Here. So we personally were not affected, thank the Lord, but there have been a lot of people, obviously. Even in our area, we had a few really big trees that came down. A lot of people had some smaller trees that came down. There was one particular one that like just flattened a house in about 15 minutes from here. But of course the impact really is at the coast, and I'm hearing now, the last I heard of that is Wilmington. It's one of the cities that I talked about at the end of last week, that I used to go to all the time. It is basically an island and people cannot get in or out of Wilmington right now. So I think that is huge area concern. My Emerald Isle, where my friends Glenn and Heather are from, I believe that was totally underwater at one point, and this is not confirmed, but at one point I had heard they were like 6 feet underwater. I don't think that they have like solid reports about their particular house or their gallery or anything, but there definitely is impact. I just saw right before I came on, I wanted to see like what is going on, but I just saw that a 1-year-old got washed away and they're still looking for him, and that just like, oh, nightmare, right? Total nightmare. So good morning, Darian, Teresa, good to see you too. And Marie said she is on her way to work. Be careful as you drive. We are all doing really, really well. I think if anything, we personally just had a little bit of cabin fever. We actually got out. We actually went out we went out on Friday. We went out for a little bit Saturday at lunch, and then we went out last night. So we were even able to, actually yesterday, we went to my in-laws for lunch yesterday too. So we were kind of out every day this weekend. So it wasn't so, this particular hair, I'm sorry, has been like on my nerves all morning. Okay, I'm sorry. Anyway, so all that to say, there are huge impacts out at the coast, just huge impacts, but we are okay. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of flooding in our area. I saw, actually Lisa, if you guys follow Lisa Turkhurst, she put on her Instagram stories, she couldn't even get to her house. I don't know what ended up happening, but the 2 roads to her house were totally flooded and she couldn't get to them. But here's the thing that I wanted to say, and I am just, thank you for your prayers. I think what everybody is saying here is it could have been so much worse. It could have been so much worse. A lot of us went through Hugo in 1989 here. That was just trees down everywhere, and everybody had no power for like 10 days or something. So I think a lot of us in our mind are comparing that to Hugo. It could have been so much worse, and it wasn't. So I think a lot of us are just so thankful it wasn't. It's kind of annoying. I mean, honestly, it's kind of annoying when you like over prepare. I've got like bottles of water in my kitchen now. Hey, I'm glad I didn't use it. It's just, we gotta like unprepare ourselves now. As you can see, like all of our porch furniture is down, so we gotta put everything back together. But so thankful. That is my only problem this morning. I'm just so thankful. And I can see a couple people that live nearby. Connie, Jamie, you guys are also jumping on, so thankful that you guys were safe too. Anyway, so what I wanted to talk about is with the storm is that, and the thing that God led me to this morning is to remind me that we are the salt of the earth. We are the salt of the earth. And I was taken back to, well, it talks about that in, I believe, Matthew 5, we are the salt of the earth, and then it had a reference back to Leviticus, and it was talking about how, and I didn't even realize this, I don't think, is that as they offered, as people offered offerings, they had to salt it, and it was called the salt of the covenant, and it was supposed to be a reminder. The salt was supposed to be a reminder of the covenant. And in the notes of my Bible, it talks about how salt preserves, but it also talks about aids in healing. It aids in healing. And it just reminded me, my oldest daughter has been dealing with a mouth sore all weekend. She has just been miserable to the point of tears, and like she couldn't eat, and the medicine was like barely touching it. And I kept telling her, I'm like, Emma, like you have to like go gargle some, or not gargle, but swish some salt water on there, because it's gonna aid in the healing. You know, I didn't say it that way, but I was like, it's gonna help it close up faster if you would just put some salt on it. And I don't know how many times I asked her if she did that this weekend, like, go put some salt on it, go put some salt on it. And it's just amazing that came up this morning. And what I keep thinking about is that it aids in healing. Just like her salt, you know, her wound, the salt would help it heal. We are the salt of the earth. And so as these folks who are impacted by the storm, guys, we are meant to be part of their healing. We are supposed to aid in their healing. And the challenge that I have, I believe from the Lord to me and to you as well, is what does it look like for us to be the salt of the earth right now with people that have been impacted by the storm? It's so easy for us on social media just to watch it go by, because you know, it's just a news feed. It's just a newsreel in our minds, and it just, you know, next, scroll, and it's so easy just for it to be just news that goes in and out of our mind. But what would it look like for us to be that salt, that it aids in healing, that we are the people that steps up and actually does something? And this is not just for people that live nearby. If you are away, what would it look like for you to help? That could be financially, it could be by praying, whatever that looks like. But for those of us who are nearby, like, what would it look like for us to actually step into that healing? You know, I have people that I know that are impacted by the storm. I personally am challenged. How can I, you know, aid in their healing? And I know there will be ways for folks to actually go to the coast to help. I don't know what that looks like to offer I mean, it could look like a million things. You know, some people might be called to actually go out there to help rebuild. Some people might be called to bring people into their home. It might be providing meals. It might be helping to provide financially to rebuild what they have lost. I don't know what that looks like, but I know that I am challenged to actually do what, you know, Scripture says, to be the salt of the earth. And that salt, part of it is to aid in healing, And so let us not be just kind of like sit back and just, again, watch the headlines and watch the stories. Let's see what we can do about it. Let's do something about it. Let's be that healing agent. And you know, the thing that I talked about is, you know, with Emma, is that, like, Emma, if you want to stop the pain, you're so upset about the pain, you've actually got to do something about it. And so I think a lot of us are going to see these and we want to stop the pain, but we're not willing to do something. Just like Emma was not willing to swish the salt water, some of us are not willing to do anything to stop people's pain. And I think we do have ways that we can do that. And so that's just my challenge for myself, for sure, for myself. And then maybe for some of you that there are ways that we can reach out and be that healing agent for some people as they have suffered loss over the weekend. And I don't know, that's just a challenge for all of us today. All right, so our kids are actually on a schools are doing weird things around here. Some people are out today. Some people are going to school. We personally have a 2-hour delay, so my kids are some of them are not even awake yet, so not such in a rush to get off. But I would love to hear from you guys. How was your weekend? Do you know of any impacts? Have you heard of any way to already help? I have not personally seen any organizations that are collecting anything to go in. That just hasn't been, I think a lot of people are just really still assessing what in the world is going on. So I would love to, if you have seen anything, I would love for you to put that in the links, in the comments, not in the links, but in the comments. Put the link in the comment. And if I find anything, I will do the same. I think if nothing else, that we can pray, obviously, and that is not the last on the list. Like, that's the first on the list, that God would also raise up others to be the salt of the earth, and that he would bring comfort to the people that have been affected, that he would provide for those folks who have been affected. I just am heartbroken. There were some deaths, I believe, out at the coast, and so people are hurting this Monday morning. So my heart goes out to them, and we are gonna pray. All right, Tanisha is my pastor's wife. She said, it seems like a lot of our church family was spared, but if you know anyone who needs anything, please let us know. Okay, I haven't also not heard of anything, but we will keep our eyes and ears out. I think all of our people actually in our group were also spared. I think there were some kind of rolling power outages through the weekend. People were out, 2 and 3 hours at a time, but it's really been not as bad. Not as bad as it could have been, for sure. Okay, guys. Well, you guys keep your eyes open, your ears open. We'll see what comes up. I know we're gonna all be looking at headlines today to see the impact as people are able to. I think some of the the water is receding as the rains have finally stopped. Yeah, Tanisha says that includes neighbors and friends and family who are not part of her church. Of course, yeah, of course. Anybody that's been impacted, we want to help. Okay. All right, guys, I didn't get a 2-hour delay because I work from home, so I have to get in there and get to work. So I'm going to go do that. If you haven't listened to the podcast from last week, I saw that, like, just as a look at the download numbers, the podcast kind of dropped off. I think everybody was like in hurricane mode. So if you haven't been able to listen to that, pick that up today. It was just getting some amazing feedback from that episode, and it's just it's even one. The timing is so cool. God is so cool. As you hear a story where somebody was allowed to go through something so terrible, and yet God has God provided and God redeemed. And that just reminded me, as people go through the storm, he allows things, but he also redeems those. Oh my goodness, Teresa said she has a friend who lost her husband last Wednesday, and she has 2 precious little girls. Oh my gosh, y'all, people are always going through something. It's that thing, you just be kind to people because you don't know what they're going through. It's kind of like that. There's always some kind of hurt. We have opportunities all over to be the salt, and it doesn't take a hurricane to do that. So Teresa, we will be praying for them. Okay, guys, I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope it is very normal. It's like one of those things where, like, please just get me back to normal, and that's a good thing. Sometimes we think it's boring to just do the same thing every day, but after weekends like that, you're just like, get me back to my normal schedule and I will love it. Okay, guys, I'm going to go. You guys have a wonderful day. Remember to put some comments in the links if you find anything that we can do, and I will do the same. All right, guys, you guys have a wonderful day. We'll see you back tomorrow. Bye.